years, blood, sweat, and tears, but I'm still here. Nothing can stop me. Run it up, run it up, run it up, run it up, run it up. Nothing can stop me.
Welcome back to The Grow Show. I'm here with my partner in growth, Jeff Winters. It's your very own Eric Watkins. We are without Scott again today. Back-to-back episodes. I think he just doesn't like us anymore. What do you think?
I think we have to do a good enough episode to earn his trust back, and then he'll return.
He's like waiting for, like, let's see if these guys are worth my time.
I like it. Introduce a little chaos into the organization.
Yeah.
Smart.
But you know what, Jeff?
What's that?
The show must go on.
Indeed.
No hiatuses. We're doing this every week, no matter what. We're bringing you stories from the front lines on how to take your business from zero to past $50 million. But before we do that, we got to be out there on the patrol. We got to figure out what's going on in the LinkedIn space. Who's giving good information? Who's giving bad information? Let's hear it from the sheriff. Does that pump you up? Do you like that intro?
Breathes oxygen into my veins. I don't know if you get oxygen in your veins. All right. LinkedIn sheriff back this week. Separating fact from fiction, truth from lie. We've got some good ones. We're going to start with Ajitha Srinivasan, who talking a little bit about leadership. She's talking about 3 leadership killers that she had engaged in her past and has seen. And I want to read one of the 3. She published a link to this article. I thought it was good. One leadership fail. The number 1 leadership fail is a lack of self-awareness. She said, I struggled with this early in my corporate career, always thinking the problem was everyone else, quote, but surveys told a different story. Research shows only 30% of leaders understand their impact on others and how to navigate difficult social situations. Interesting. True leadership starts from within. How can you guide others if you don't know your own strengths, weaknesses, values, and triggers, which I thought was interesting.
It's very interesting. I feel like that's spot on. It's not groundbreaking, but I feel like it's spot on that self-awareness would be the biggest one. And I feel like it comes in 2 forms, honestly. I feel like it's you're either not aware or you're aware and you don't care, and it doesn't make it any better no matter which one.
I thought that I agree. It's not groundbreaking. No offense. The triggers part to me was something that I hadn't heard before.
Very
like know
point.
thyself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Okay, yeah, kind of generic and good. But the triggers thing is interesting. When you start to think about, and not triggering in the sense of something like traumatic or something is happening. That's not what we're talking about here. Talking about triggers in terms of little things that people do that make you go into a different emotional state or a heightened emotional state. I'll give you an example. For me, is I know that if someone interrupts me, I can't. I'm unable to come back to my calm state for a minute. Like if I'm on a good point, I'm rolling, and I got my right brain is talking to my left brain, and everything's rocking, and somebody jumps into my words, that's a trigger for me. So I thought the trigger part was interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I'm trying to think of what would be one of mine. I would say I'm very to the point, urgent, type A. And when people start in this long-winded like explanation, and right. I know where you're going.
Right.
And I'll pop in and I'll start saying that. I've immediately, like that's a trigger for me of, I've immediately lost listening in the conversation, which is not good. Like I'm not proud of it, but to the point of self-aware, don't care. I feel like I feel myself doing it, but I still do it. And you just have to be better than that.
You have to be better than that and think about the triggers part. Not everything else is we've touched on and talked about and been read and written. The triggers part I thought was interesting. Hopefully I can do better for you on this one though, Eric. Andre S., who there's no last name, so I'm not omitting a last name.
I felt like you were dodging a bullet there.
Many brands will play it as safe as possible, like referring to like social media, branding, videos, what you put out online, because of fear and complacency, but turn around and bitch and moan about all the brands that are taking creative risks and being bold and innovative.
True.
Oh,
I love that. That's true with everything. Politician, everything.
But there are so many companies out there that, like, if they're presented an idea that's a little risque, they're like, oh, I wouldn't do that. But when they see one that is risky and has succeeded, they're like, well, what the hell are we doing?
Right.
Why aren't we out there with that joke or that thing? And it's like, well, you can't do that. You either have to be willing to try and fail, which unfortunately for some brands is catastrophic or ridicule or whatever, or play it safe and not have high expectations. But you can't get both. And this is such a truth that's happening in boardrooms and leadership team meetings across the country.
That is the truth. And I think what does every brand want at the end of the day? They want to be authentic. They want to be unique.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can't really be authentic if you're trying to please everybody. And that's the fear they have of, we're going to upset a certain portion. And I feel like some of the most polarizing brands or people, they know they really, like, why do they take risks? Because they really know their audience and who they're trying to attract. Because whenever you're polarizing, you're attracting just as many people as you're detracting, right? But you're attracting the people you're trying to reach, and you're detracting the people that you probably wouldn't want to do business with anyway.
Who's doing good? What brands? Like, first brand that comes to your mind is doing a great job.
Like, as far as being edgy and being authentic?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a good one. Give me one. Give me a second to think. You got one in mind?
I saw a great ad for Diet Pepsi. I think it was Diet Pepsi. Don't quote me on that. Where, like, Shohei Ohtani hit that. Did you see this? He hit a home run and it banged off the Diet Pepsi ad, and it took like a couple of panes out, and they changed the can so it looks like there's a couple of panes out of the can.
Out of the can?
I think it's very cool. I think
that's cool.
It's neat.
I like that. Yeah.
But that could have fallen flat or been stupid.
Yeah. I can't. I've like tuned my brain off to ads. I feel like.
Really?
I'm over ads.
Oh, I love ads. That's because you live in that Roku life.
Yeah.
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 Get back to
YouTube TV.
YouTube TV. There we go.
They put the Zen on for a little bit, you know.
Oh, you don't want the ads? You want to watch
here's a moment of Zen.
Roam around in a field of grass?
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
Shout out, no free shout. YouTube has done an incredible job with the Zen.
It's so good.
Every one of those, I feel like there's like a little beetle, and the beetle's crawling around, and I'm going, boy, oh boy, am I relaxed. This is way better than my regular life.
Better.
On to the lies. The lie comes from Taylor. Taylor is telling a talent acquisition lie, in my opinion, but we shall see what others think. I don't want to ask you about gaps on your resume or why you left certain places either. The reality is, people take time off. They leave jobs for hundreds of reasons. They take the summer to spend time with the kids. They have health issues. Their boss was a jerk. The list is endless. I won't judge you for why you left or why you weren't working. Then it goes on from there.
Yeah. Lie.
I will judge you.
Yeah. I will judge you.
I will too.
And I would stack up anybody who doesn't have the... Okay, here's what I'll first say.
Yeah.
She says, I will not ask. You should absolutely ask.
Gotta ask.
Like, because there is valid reasons, and there's different things that will make sense.
Sure.
But you have to ask.
Gotta ask.
Yeah. What do you not ask? Like, who?
I'm judging too. Like, I'm not... Oh, yeah, you got a medical condition. Okay, fine. That's totally separate. That's not this.
Yeah,
Somebody
exactly.
goes, why'd you leave your job? I had a okay. Hey, totally get it. Understandable.
I took a year off to discover myself.
Oh, now we're talking different. I'm not saying that's necessarily, I'm not saying it's a deal killer.
Right.
But like, I'm painting myself a picture of you. You're the kind of person that would take a year off to find yourself. Great. What'd you find? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful.
Yeah. Gotta ask.
You got, because you're, again, the point of the interview, in my opinion, is to paint as much of a clear picture as you can of you to them and them to you, so that you can figure out if this thing's going to work or not. And if you're not asking why people left the job, that's like an important part of, could be a really important part of this person's story, and you're leaving out an important part of the picture.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't think that's good advice. I think she posted that for likes. She want to get a bunch of people. Yeah. Because everybody who has gaps in their resume is going to give it a big old like.
Oh, the resume gap likes.
Yeah, the resume gap likes. It's a popularity contest out there. That's why people don't tell the truth.
Segue. Which is why I'm here.
That's why you're here.
That's why the demand is so high.
It is. You're doing the Lord's work.
I knew you were going to say that. Thank you.
You really are. You're welcome. Good job today. I think you leveled it up. You needed one to get back into it, but I like those today.
Yeah, you didn't love the first one, but I think I brought it home a little bit.
Yeah, you did bring it home.
Yeah.
Okay, so for today, next session, I'm filling in for Scott, 50 for 50. Did we not update that sound? Did we talk about updating the sound last time?
Talked about updating the sound.
Give it to me one more time. Maybe it'll hit a little different.
It's ironic.
There it is. Okay. All right, so today's 50 for 50. We're going to talk about leadership development and not your new leaders, where you're probably spending the majority of time on your business. We're talking about your senior leaders within your business. And I feel like currently this really falls into one of two camps. And the majority of companies are probably in number one camp, which we were in for a while, which is you do no leadership development with your senior leaders.
None.
Why do they need to be developed? They've been leaders forever. They know everything. They're doing all this stuff. Or you're spending a bunch of money having somebody run a program from the outside, which is great. And if it works for you, awesome. That's incredible. But you need to do something. And so today we're going to talk about what we call our 12 and 0 series. And that is how we've initiated something within our team to really get the juices flowing and keep the knowledge and development going. So we created the 12 and 0 series on the theme of we really break our business down into monthly increments. We don't work quarterly. We don't work annually. Our business moves too fast for that. And for us to achieve our goals, if we achieve them every single month, we would go 12 and 0 and ultimately win the year. So all of our directors and above come to this session, and it's 2 times a month. So we do a kickoff session on the first week of the month, and then we do a wrap up of the session at the end of the month. And simply what we've done, and we've done this for about 18 months now, is we introduce a book that relates to a theme within our business. So this past month, we did How to Win Friends and Influence People. We're a sales-driven organization. We do sales in every spot of our organization. So using that book, and obviously that plays into leadership and everything else. But it's been really impactful because it's so simple. There's so many good books out there, but to have, 80 of our leaders on the same page, reading the same book, and then talking about how those themes relate to the work that we're doing every day, it's been impactful. And it really kind of forces your team to read and level themselves up, and also for you to be aligned around concepts across the country. Is there better leadership development programs? Probably. But today, if you're not doing anything, come up with a leadership series name, pick 12 books, read one every month with your leaders, take 2 hours out of your month to introduce the book and talk about why the concepts matter, to read the book and talk about what they took away from it. And it's been a big deal. It's done a lot of really good things for our organization.
Fun fact, this idea was originated, Simon Sinek, friend of the show. Well, not necessarily a friend, but
probably doesn't know of the show, but if he did,
If he did know of the show, he could be a friend. So friend of the show, shout out to Simon Sinek. He said this on a LinkedIn post. He goes, look, if you're going to, don't start a leadership development course at your company, start a book club. And then brought it to the podcast. That was a truth on the podcast. And we did it. So we're eating our own soup.
Look at that.
As it were. And it's been really good. I think the couple of things that I'd share. First is camaraderie. This is all the directors, all the vice presidents, C-level leadership. Everybody's in a room or a virtual room, if that's your flavor, building connection, because there's interaction in these sessions. We're not just talking at you. There's interaction. You're getting to interact. You're building camaraderie. It's great. And the other is consistency. It is so easy, as Eric mentioned, to think they're senior leaders. Let them do their senior leader thing. Yeah, well, every senior leader maybe isn't leading the same way, or maybe they drift, and then you have senior leaders training junior leaders, and you lose consistency. And as an organization, culturally, leaders need to be aligned on leading, on making decisions, on inspection, on crucial conversations, all of those things you want to be pretty uniform around. Everybody's gonna do a little bit differently, but like generally speaking, those are right under values, is leadership principles. You know, like Amazon, for example, publishes its leadership principles for a reason, so it can be consistent across the organization. And so this has given us that, and it's also saved us from having to create a leadership program and try a leadership program and do all that. Like that's to Simon Sinek's underlying point. You're not going to do a better job than we're now on book number 17.
Yeah, 17.
And we've read some great ones, and we're going to continue to read great ones. And so this is a great answer. I would encourage all organizations to do this, especially with higher level leaders.
Yeah. I feel like a trick here is also do not make it like super rigid. Like assign the book.
Yeah.
You're not testing people out if they read the book. They're going to feel bad if they didn't read the book and all of their peers did. And just have general conversations around it. There's no homework. They already have enough that is on their plate. But everybody can read one book a month and should read one book a month if you're in leadership.
I agree. And look, Eric and I proctor these sessions, and I think the implied you're going to do it is he and I just call on people.
Yeah.
No, I am not interested in your hands. I'm just going to call on you. And, we've had instances where, not naming names, obviously people have not read and they feel dumb in that moment. So call on people, make it interactive, come up with exercises. It really... I think it's done a lot of good.
Yeah. And how does it tie back to your business? I think that's one thing really good in your session that you just ran, not to make your head any bigger about it.
Truth.
Jeff's great at these sessions. I'll just let the record state.
Let it be said. Thank you.
Tie it back into your business. Don't just talk about the content of the book. Get them thinking about the application back to your business and how they see these principles and these lessons and how they're learning from them.
Don't want to do a book? Do a podcast.
Do a podcast. Do the Grow Show.
Hey.
Do the Grow Show.
Simon Sinek would be.
But how would you do this Grow Show if the theme was 12 and 0? Because then you would have to go then do a 12 and 0.
Yeah.
It's Inception.
It's just something to think about.
Yeah. A show within a show within a training.
You'd have to really go deep on that one.
Yeah.
It's an episode unto itself. Great job.
Great job. All right. Well, I'm going to pass it to myself for mining for growth gold today.
In your defense, that's your favorite person to pass to.
That is my favorite person to pass to. The best pass is no pass at all. That's what I like to say. Cue the pickaxe. Where are we at here? We're in the cold.
We're always in the cold in your section.
We're always
out in the cold forest.
We're out in the cold forest. All right, today, this is something I'm surprised that I haven't talked about to this point because we're coming up on 50 topics. But I was thinking about, if I'm going to talk about generating more opportunities for your pipeline to eventually sell, you should probably figure out where are you getting your opportunities from. And what I found deep in the minds, is that 27.24% of the appointments we set for our partners come from a status we call lead weight. Lead weight. Now, what is a lead weight? Lead weight is I had a conversation with a prospect. It was a good conversation. They didn't tell me yes. They didn't tell me no. It was more of a not right now. And I feel like in sales, we are so focused on what am I setting today? And I got to burn this bridge. If I can't get them to set, then I got to burn it and I'll move on to somebody else. But this concept of lead weight is I talk to somebody, they say not right now, and I establish that follow-up date somewhere between 0 and 90 days in the future. And the reason why I think this is so important is it really helps with your mindset, especially of new SDRs, maybe more introverted SDRs who don't love pressuring people or being in uncomfortable situations, because this is how they build a pipeline that's too big to fail. And if you ask some of our best reps we've ever had, they're like, I'm really not that good on the phone. I just work the process really well. So what do they mean by that? So I'm going to use a little analogy here. And if you've never played this game, then it's not going to make any sense. But it also doesn't have much to do with the game. But Mancala. You know what I'm talking about?
No one knows what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Katie knows what I'm talking about.
Do you really?
Ryan, you know Mancala? Okay. It's the wooden board It's got 12 spaces, and it's got the little marbles, little like half marbles that you place in there. I'm not going to get into the details of the game, but for the purpose of this, I want you to envision a board that has 12 spaces, one for each month. And you have these marbles or these like half stones in your hand. Every time I get a lead weight, I'm pushing that out. So if I'm having conversations right now in May, then I'm putting a stone in June, or I'm putting one in July, and I'm putting one in August. And I do this over and over and over. And then by the time I get to December, I know where 10 of my appointments are coming from before I even start that month, because our conversion rate on these leads are so high. And I think what people aren't doing is playing the long game. Like this is really what separates us from other people that do this. There's a lot of calls, blast a lot of emails, you get what you get. And then all of a sudden you get to this point where it sort of dries up. And this is a good way to have really good conversation, get good insight from it, and then structure your pipeline in a way where you're really setting yourself up for the future. I think it's a big deal.
Yeah. What about planting seeds? Wouldn't that have been an easier analogy than this how do you say it?
Mancala?
Mancala?
No, that's not better.
But planting seeds is a little more relatable, no?
It's a game, though.
Oh.
It's a game. And the thing about seeds is they grow linear. You plant a seed, they all grow at the same time, roughly. This is not the case. Like you're putting things further out than others. It depends on the conversation that you had.
Best day to plant a tree was 10 years ago. Second best day?
Today.
Very interesting. This adds not the game or the seeds. I think we all know where you come down on that if you don't know what this fakakta game is. But I think giving yourself this status in your as like a lead status gives you another conversion point to build predictability. Eric alluded to it. Statistically, we know if you go into a lead weight section, you're going to convert 25% of the time. That's a big deal. That's a big deal because you can become more predictable as opposed to most, which is I'm going to make this many calls, I'm going to send this many emails, I'm going to get this many appointments. It's like, how do you break those down into smaller chunks so you don't have these wild swings and you can move people through in a predictable way and you can celebrate a lead weight?
That's a great point. Like one of the big things that happens here is you talk to a rep and you'll say, how was your day? And they'll say, I didn't get any appointments, but I got 4 lead weights.
That's an appointment.
And that's great because we know if they did that every day, it would eventually get to a point where it's impossible not to get an appointment.
Right. 4 lead weights is 1 appointment.
Yeah,
period.
Exactly. Period.
So that's the work you did today. And as we have talked about on this show many a time, finding those little intermediate wins to show progress and to keep people motivated, keep people feeling like they're winning in this area, so huge. Another way to do it.
Mancala. What'd you say? I don't even
planting
want to.
A
No,
seed.
what'd you call that game?
Mancala.
No, what was the F word that you used?
Fakakta?
Fakakta.
That's not a game. That's a
No, I know you're describing
that's an
the
expression.
game. Yeah, fakakta.
Yeah. Look that up.
We need to do a poll. I bet I was going to say 90. I bet 80% of people know what Mancala is.
Oh. I
think you're
so.
in the minority.
Is this is this like your generation, like a younger?
No.
It's not.
No, this has been around ages.
Huh. All right.
We'll look play sometime.
We'll look into that.
Yeah.
Is it my turn yet?
It is your turn.
Do you want
What do we do with these leads,
there
Jeff?
You go. So sometimes we do sales people, sometimes we talk sales management, sales leaders. Talk a little sales management, sales leaders today.
We're very leadership.
Despite Eric's sound effect making it seem as though it is cold outside, it is not. It is getting warm because it is becoming the season of summer. And what do salespeople do in the summer, Eric?
Chill.
They take vacations. Everybody takes vacations. Salespeople take vacations in the summer. And by the way, they take vacations all the time. And if you are a huge sales organization, this doesn't matter to you. You got ways to fill your gaps. But let me tell you something. If you got 2 salespeople, you got 1 salesperson, you got 4 salespeople, having 2 of them out at the same time for 2 weeks in a month can be really detrimental to your business. And this is something that we found. This is a under the radar thing where you get to the end of the month and you're doing a retrospective and you go, yeah, we didn't do so well. Stevie was out and Susie was out for a couple weeks and Patty had maternity leave, all of which are well and good and wonderful in a lot of cases, but doesn't change the fact that they couldn't sell the number. Yeah, there was no selling the number. So I'm just going to give you some tips on what to do. First, knowledge is power on this. Knowledge is mandatory. What we do is we ensure that any extended, obviously things are going to come up, but any planned extended PTO is in by a certain day previous month. Next, I sit down with HR. We map out who's going to be gone and when. We've got an easy system where we, are able to find who's out and when. And then we start redistributing quota. We do. We start redistributing quota. We're not absolving the salespeople of doing their jobs, depending on like how long they're out, but we need to hedge our bets, I think is more how we say it. And so come the beginning of the month, some people may have to take on a little bit more. Maybe managers or leaders take a little quota. And then something's got to come with that, whether it be additional pitches or there's some reciprocity. Hey, you're going to be out at some point. There has to be something that comes with it of like, hey, we're not just going to ask you to do more and carry a heavier load. You got to make it logical. But if you're a smaller sales organization, you're going to feel this. We did with 15 sellers, having 2 or 3, 4 out at a time. Plan for your salesperson vacations and redistribute the quota to risk mitigate.
Agree. This has killed us so many times.
Yeah.
And I do think the other thing is from the book, The One Thing, is to get people in the mindset of they're not working until their vacation, they're working between their vacations. I think really getting good up front at the beginning of the year and planning all of this out of like, you guys, I want you guys to take your PTO. You have your PTO. I want you to take it. I don't want to discourage it, but plan it out where it's only one of you out. Like work through the days, who wants what, and plan them out so they have these vacations in their year that they feel like they're working in between vacations instead of like, I'm just working until I can take a vacation.
I like that. It's the it's Monday. It's Tuesday, 3 days closer to Friday. It's Wednesday, almost Friday.
Yeah.
Thursday, it's Friday Eve. It's you don't want that.
No.
And I'm not asking you on Sunday to go like, hell yeah, Monday tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm like that. I mean, I just got a lot going on, but
yeah. You love Mondays.
I don't like sitting through 9-year-old baseball for 4 days in a row.
Yeah.
That's different.
That's fair.
Thank you.
That's fair. They're going to start getting good though. It's probably going to be fun.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Oh, I get to introduce you.
Yeah,
now.
we're not on the transitions today.
Well, I usually you pass it to yourself, like you said. The best pass is no pass at all. So, I love this section. Everyone loves this section. It's to do or not to do.
To do or not to do. This is a good one.
I'm excited.
We're advancing as a society every day, but there are some things that stay the same.
Yeah.
And should they? Should they?
I don't know.
We don't know. And you don't know unless we discuss them on this show. And here's something that I think needs to go. But I'll let Jeff give his perspective.
Mancala. Is it Mancala?
Well, everyone should play Mancala. That should be mandatory in school. They should learn that. It's a game of skill.
Who needs accounting and finance?
Should you write thank you notes after you receive a gift? Let me be clear. Am I ever upset when I get a thank you note? Of course not.
No.
I appreciate it. I know it took work and effort, but you didn't need to do it.
I know.
It's 2024. Shoot me a text. Like you don't need to look up my address and fill this out. I don't know. I just think we need to kill thank you notes in general. Let's move them virtual. Let's take them virtual. What do you think?
I'm biased because I am right now in thank you note writing season. My wife is forcing me to write thank you notes for 40th birthday presents that I received. I will say I'm writing thank you notes for physical items, not bottles of alcohol. I don't think I like the writing of the thank you note if the gift deserves a written thank you note. All gifts are not deserving of a written thank you note. Bottle of alcohol, not. Custom shoes. Like somebody went to some effort and to some thought. I'm down. But I think some broad sweeping, you got to write a thank you note every time you get a present, or somebody, comes over to your house and hangs out for a couple hours. That ain't me. Now, here is what I will say. As a society, as we progress forward, let's say society writ large takes your recommendation of going virtual with the thank yous, which I could very easily see. Huge viewership, could catch fire on social media.
Could catch fire.
Here's where we can't go. And I speak to you, Mr. Mrs. Society. We can't go to non-gratitude. If you come over to my house and you hang out with your kids, or we make you something, we buy you something, I do want to thank you.
Oh, yeah. Verbal thank yous. Shoot me a text.
I want a text.
You want to text. You can't just say, hey, thank you very much for hosting my kids today.
Not sufficient.
I could agree with that. I could agree with a post-text follow-up.
Yeah.
It's a little prima donna of you, but that's all right.
Well, you had a couple glasses of Beaujolais and, thanks. Like, that's bullshit. Like, I got you a cheese tray. We're going to have to do dishes. We got to clean up the stuff in the basement. You don't think so, Katie?
Here's my thing is, okay, weddings, absolutely thank you notes, because a lot of people are giving me a gift that I'm probably never going to give them a gift again. But there's a lot of things, like your birthday party, you probably invited a bunch of people where you're going to have to go to their birthday party. Can we all just agree that we're going to go to each other's birthday parties?
I have not been invited to anyone else's birthday party now that I'm reflecting on this. And I invited a lot of people. But yes, theoretically, there could be some
do you never take your kids
agreement
to someone else's house and eat their cheese tray?
I do, but when I do, I say thank you. Not like a casual visit, but like, hey, come over at 6, bring the kids, we'll have dinner. Like, that's a boom. I need something in writing.
It's unspoken.
And that's what I'm saying. It needs to be written.
It's unwritten. It's unspoken.
All right. Some food for thought.
All right. Food for thought. Basically, screw people over on thank you notes. Don't need to write them anymore. That's what I'm taking away from this.
Stop writing them.
Stop writing them. All right. Well, we hope you all enjoyed the episode. We got more coming at you. As always, we're going to give it to you straight. Whatever we're seeing on the front lines, we're going to bring to the show, and we're going to mix in a little bit of fun. So let's grow.
Let's grow.
The Grow Show is sponsored by Abstract Cloud Solutions, certified Salesforce consulting services.